welcome to an On Deck Baseball video. Today we're going to be talking about one of our more popular sets, the On Deck Baseball Pro Playoff Replay 1. So the On Deck Baseball Pro, if you're new to On Deck Baseball, is the historical version of the game. On Deck Baseball Batter Up is the fictional version of the game. So this will be all historical players. If you are new to On Deck Baseball, of course you want to start off with the On Deck Baseball Pro Starter Set. That's going to come with all the peripherals and charts that you're going to need to play the game. In front of me here I have 3 different boxes. The boxes of course are random when you order them. Any set can come in any box. There are 6 different versions of the boxes. I selected these 3 samples in front of me. Some great artwork in these sets. We're going to take a look at this one here. When you get your set, of course I said the boxes are random, but in the front, underneath the front flap, you'll get a sticker that will show you the teams that are included in your set. As I mentioned, Playoff Replay 1 is one of our more popular sets, and the reason is they contain the 1986 playoffs and the 1961 World Series. So there are some popular teams in that in those years. So let's go ahead and dive in and take a look here. I'll go ahead and move this box off to the side. So in 1986, of course, you had the World Series that included Boston and the likes of Wade Boggs, Rich Gedman, Bill Buckner, the infamous Bill Buckner, Marty Barrett, and as we go through, I'm not going to go over every single player here, but of course they had the ace of the staff, Roger Clemens. So some great artwork here on the Boston team. Now for the World Series champion, of course, came out of New York, and we have the celebrity celebration, Gary Carter, on this card. Another fine piece of artwork there. Keith Hernandez, Wally Backman, I'm sure these are well-known names here. Darryl Strawberry, the Straw Man. And then of course you had the great pitching staff for New York that year, anchored by Doc, Dwight Gooden. And then you had Ron Darling. And then of course in the bullpen, some great names here that went on to really play well for other teams. Rick Aguilera there, got Roger McDowell, Jesse Orosco. This is a very young, talented team. Really thought that they would have more championships, but they only got the one in 1986. Now, something that I don't think everybody is aware of, 1986 had some great teams in the playoffs that year. One of those teams came out of Houston. So the 1986 Houston team, the offense was anchored by Kevin Bass. He had Glenn Davis, Alan Ashby behind the plate, and of course on the mound, great year put in by Mike Scott. You had Nolan Ryan on that team, Bob Nipper. You had some great players here. And on the AL side, the Boston team first went up against a collection of great players coming from California. And of course they had Mr. October on that team. Wally Joyner, a very young Wally Joyner. Bob Boone. Brian Downing. Gary Pettis. I mean, this was a collection of players who had established themselves on other championship teams, and they came to California looking to get another championship, which just didn't work out. A young Devon White there. Mike Witt was the anchor of the staff, a 2.84 ERA with 18 wins. Had Kirk McCaskill and a young Chuck Finley. So those are the teams that are included from the 1986 playoffs. But as I mentioned, you also have 1961 World Series. Now, I'm not going to start off with the obvious team, but I am going to talk a little bit about their opponent, because I don't think 1961 Cincinnati gets enough love here. They had a very young Frank Robinson, a .323 average with 37 home runs. They had Vita Pinson, a .343 average. A few other great players, but a little bit less known. Jerry Zimmerman, Gordy Coleman, And then on the staff, oh yeah, they also had Leo Cardenas. On the staff, pitching staff that is, they had Joey J, Jim O'Toole, Bob Perky. A lot of players that are probably a little less known, but a great team in 1961 for Cincinnati. And then, of course, you have the 1961 team out of New York. Elston Howard behind the plate. The Mick out in center field. Bill Skowron over at first base. Bobby Richardson, second base. Tony Kubek at short. Roger Maris out in right. Of course, that record-setting year was 61 home runs. Now, in the bullpen or on the mound, Whitey Ford, Bill Stafford, and in the pen, of course, you had Luis Arroyo, another great starter, Ralph Terry. Obviously, 1961 is a fantastic team. Went on to win the World Series after that record-setting season by Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle. So this is the Playoff Replay 1 set, a fantastic collection of teams. As I mentioned, one of the more popular sets. Now, you do want to make sure you have that On Deck Baseball Pro starter set first to start off with. But if you're looking for some historical teams to play with, you probably don't get a better collection of teams than in this set. The Playoff Replay sets typically come with 6 teams, and they do have the full playoff rosters. So if they played in the playoffs, you will have that player on that team. It's a little bit different than the History's Best of the Best. History Best of the Best teams, they come with around 21 to 23, sometimes a little less if they are early 1900 teams like the 1906 team out of Chicago. So, as I mentioned, Playoff Replay 1 contains 1986 playoffs as well as 1961 World Series, a fantastic set. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Please hit that thumbs up and leave a comment if you can. And I appreciate you joining me. Thank you.